Assalamu alaikum students. Today the short story we are going to discuss in today's video lesson is The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde. It is said that this story was written by Oscar Wilde for his own children to teach them the lesson which he has depicted or presented in this story for all of us. Now let's critically analyze the story. Well, the style of the writing so the story is written, it is a romantic story which is written in the style of a fairy tale or a fantasy. It is romantic because the characters in the story experience those experiences of life which are not related to us or to this real world. Swallow and the statue feel, think, talk, and act like human beings. It all happens in fairy tales, not in real life. In real life, then the story has a moral lesson, and the moral lesson is what has a universal appeal. It says that true happiness in life comes through selfless serving of humanity. So, the appeal of the story lies in the humanitarian attitude, in the humanitarianism that we should adopt a humanitarian attitude. We should draw happiness from serving the humanity. It is an attitude of mind that has to be inculcated in the people by themselves or by their free will. So, for a society to progress, it is important, it is imperative that we should not be selfish. We should not be motivated by self-interest. Rather, our interest should be, and the source of our happiness should be from the service of the fellow beings, because the story tells us or gives the idea that the true happiness which any person can hanker after comes to him through the service to humanity. Now, here I'm going to briefly tell you the gist of the story. The story is of a happy prince. There's a happy prince who used to live in the palace of Sanssouci, and he lived a very happy life. He was the ruler of his country, but there were huge walls erected around his palace, so he could not peek outside to see the condition of his people. So there was a barrier between the ruler and the subject. And within the four walls of his palace, he lived a very gay, a very happy life, and it was always merrymaking in which he was indulged in. But the problem or the dramatic turn comes when the statue when this happy prince, who was named as Happy Prince by his courtiers, when the statue of this happy prince was erected in the middle of the city at a very prominent place. And this happy prince statue was covered with gold. Its eyes were in fact two big sapphires, and there was a big ruby that was fixed in the hilt of the sword he was carrying. Now this statue, as the writer has given it a very tale touch, this statue, when was erected at that high column in the city, in the center of the city, it started seeing the suffering of the people, of his subject. Now he came face to face with what real misery, what real suffering in life looked like. But since his feet were tied, he could not help his people. So the writer wants here to convey that the rulers in our society, they are in fact sometimes they are not allowed to peep into the real problems, to look into the real problems of their people. However, with emergence of democracy in modern countries, this problem has been resolved to a large extent. And then this statue was erected over there. Then one day, a swallow came over there and took shelter under the feet, or on the pedestal of this statue. And as it was settling over there, it felt the two drops of water fell on it. It was quite drenched, and it flew up to see what's the matter, whether it is raining or not. And it realizes that it is the statue that is weeping. So on inquiry, it comes to know that the statue is sad on seeing the condition of the people of on seeing the suffering of the poor people of his subject. The swallow who has been left by his friends, and who must have reached Egypt by that time, itself has a story to tell to the statue. It tells the statue that it has fallen in love with a reed, and his friends had made fun of him by saying that the reed has a large family and no money at all, which again shows the materialistic approach of the society. Anyways, the swallow says that the reed it appeared to him that the reed was coquettish, it was flirting with, even with the wind and with everything. So the swallow, and it has refused to accompany the swallow. So the swallow has decided to leave the reed with her family, and now it is on its way to join his friends, his fellow swallows. The prince then requests the swallow to be his messenger for that night. He requests the swallow to take the ruby from the hilt of his sword and take it to the poor seamstress who is stitching or who is embroidering flowers on the dress of the maid of the queen for the dance party. The swallow, out of pity, agrees to it, and it takes out the ruby and moves and it flies to the house indicated to him by the statue. As it while passing while going to its destination, the swallow passes by the palace of the queen, where it sees the maid of the maid of honor of the queen talking merrily with her friend. And in the house of the seamstress, he sees the boy of the seamstress stumbling in very pitiable condition. He was having fever, and he was asking for oranges. Since the old lady had no poor lady had since the poor lady does not have anything else to offer to him, therefore she's only giving him water. The swallow was moved. The swallow is moved, and it gives that ruby to it places that ruby in the temple of the woman who has fallen asleep, and the swallow fans the boy with its wings, and the boy is comforted, and he also falls to sleep. Then the swallow goes back to the statue, and the next day it takes the round of the city, and then at night it comes to this statue and tells the statue that now it is time for the swallow that swallow is going to leave for Egypt soon. The statue once again requests the swallow to be his messenger once again, and asks him to take one of the sapphire from his eye socket to the artist, young artist who is to finish his play for the theater manager, but because of hunger and because of cold, he is unable to do so. Again, the swallow is moved by the request of the statue and the mystery of the young artist, and it goes and takes that sapphire to the young artist. And again, on the third day, when the swallow tries to take its leave, the statue requests the swallow to be his messenger once again, and this time the statue wants the swallow to take the other ruby from its second eye socket to to a young girl who is a match seller and whose all matchboxes have fallen in the garden, and she's crying with the fear that her father is going to beat her for not bringing any money to home. So the swallow again abides by after some resistance. It says okay to the statue and takes that ruby to the girl. The girl becomes very happy to see a crystal in her hand, and she runs to her home. And every time, whenever the swallow comes back to the statue after doing this deed, any deed of kindness, it feels a certain warmth, and the statue tells him that this is the warmth of the good deed which you are doing. And after this third deed, the swallow itself declares to the statue that it is not leaving the statue, and now it is going to be the eyes of the statue. The statue becomes happy, and the swallow then sits on the shoulder of the statue and tells the statue about the far off things and the places where the swallow had been. The statue asks the swallow that not to tell him the tales of the far off places, because he is interested in listening the tales of the mystery and sufferings, because nothing in the world is more important than the sufferings of the human being. So the swallow becomes the eye of the statue, and it starts telling him the sufferings of the people of his city. And it used to it flies throughout the city, and then on coming back to the statue, it tells him the condition of his people to the statue. It feeds on the crumbs thrown away by the bakers outside the bakery. Now the statue does not stop from helping the people over here. Now it asks the swallow to take the gold leaf from its body, with which its body was covered, and take those leaves to the poor and the needy people of his city. The writer tells us that gradually the people of the city, the children of the city, become happier, and the statue becomes shabbier. And with the arrival of winter, the swallow also is affected by it. Anyways, the swallow tells him that how the rich people are making themselves merry inside the house, and how the beggars are being kicked off from the doors, and how the young poor children were forced to move out of their shelter from under the bridge into the rain by the watchman. And then one day the swallow feels that it is now going to die because of the frost in the wind. So it for the last time it gets the statue and dies in its feet. With the death of Swallow, the leaden heart of the prince also breaks into two parts. The mayor and its counselor, who had earlier visited the statue and had appreciated it for its aesthetic value, now visit this statue, and finding it to be in a shabby condition, decide to demolish it, and another statue they decide it should be erected over there. But the quarrel about whose statue would it be that would be erected over there, there the writer says is still going on. However, the mayor issued an order that the swallows should not be allowed to die in the feet of a statue. It is a very ridiculous remark. Then, in the end, we are told that the statue's body, that the swallow's body was thrown and the swallow's body is thrown in the rubbish and the body of the statue of the prince was taken to be to the furnace where it is to be melted. But the heart of the statue could not be melted, so it is also thrown on the same rubber sheet where the body of the swallow was thrown. Now, up in the heaven, God asks his angel to bring the most precious things, the two precious things from this world, and the angels bring to him the heart of the prince and the heart of the prince and the swallow, and the corpse of the swallow. God says that you have brought the right things, and then says that these two will abide in the heaven. With this, the story comes to the end, teaching us the moral lesson that happiness comes from serving the humanity. Now, students, there is satire and criticism in the story. The first satire, as I have told you, the ruling and the better of class is satirized for their ignorance of the sufferings of the poor around them. Okay, there are the ruling class. They are engaged in untiring efforts to exercise their authority, and sometimes they pass such ridiculous orders as the mayor had passed the proclamation that nobody is allowed to die in the feet of a statue, and then their competition for getting fame, that whose statue is to be erected, is also ridiculed in the story. Then the description of the poor children being forced out in the rain from underneath the shelter that is the bridge by the watchmen of the rich depicts the indifferent attitude of the society towards the fellow beings, that how much indifferent human beings are to the sufferings of others for the sake of their self-pride, for the sake of keeping themselves aloof. People treat beings so badly. Then in such a society which is motivated by materialistic approach, in such a society, aesthetic sense and creativity also are also stunted. The young creative artist who fails to complete his play out of starvation speaks volumes about the star about the indifferent again attitude of the society towards these towards creativity and genius. Because in a society where materialism is a focus of attention, these artists who are poor but have the genius talent, they are neglected, and out of their inability to feed themselves, they die their own death. Then merrymaking of different characters like the Queen's Maid of Honor, who is totally unaware of the economical constraint through which his seamstress is going through indicating her merrymaking. It indicates the moral degradation of the society. And then the conversation of the mayor and the councillor about the beauty of the statue also shows that the society which pays attention to outward shows, to materialism, is bound to be an unhappy society. In such a society, only few people could be happy, and those could be the ruling class or the people having money. So the moral lesson of the story, as I have told you earlier, is that we should adopt a humanitarian attitude. We should drive happiness from serving other human beings, and we should try in our places to at whatever place we are and whatever position we are, to minimize the suffering and the misery around us. Even this type of attitude is approved of by the God. Thank you very much, students. I hope you have understood today's lecture, or do give me your feedbacks in the comment. Thank you very much.